Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, another Republican has joined the race for Mississippi's Agriculture Commissioner.
A giant species of grass developed by Mississippi State for biofuel use is the star of a field day held in Georgia.
In Southern Gardening, we'll have winter vegetables you'll want to try.
In the markets, it appears cotton could challenge highs set during the Civil War, while the nation's cattle number has dropped to their lowest point in 53 years.
In the feature segment, wood pellets. This source of energy is making new jobs for Mississippians.
Our goal is to reduce our dependency upon foreign oil. Each bag, 40-pound bag, on average contains 320,000 BTUs of energy. Each ton, which is 40-pound bags, 1,600,000 BTUs of energy, which equates to 2.5 barrels of foreign oil. So for every ton of pellets consumed in this country, regardless of the manufacturer, we save 2.5 barrels of foreign oil.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
A third candidate has now joined the race to become the next Mississippi Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce.
Late in last week, Mississippi State Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith of Brookhaven became the third Republican to declare their candidacy. Hyde-Smith is the present chairwoman of the Mississippi Senate Agriculture Committee. Senator Hyde-Smith's website lists her occupations as cattle farmer and a congressional affairs consultant. She is in her 12th year in the Mississippi Senate. Hyde-Smith switched her party affiliation from Democrat to Republican in December. The other two Republican candidates are State Representative Danny Reed of Ackerman and Max Phillips of Taylorsville. Reed is a two-term representative serving on the State House Ag Committee. Reed was also a longtime employee of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. Max Phillips of Taylorsville was the 2003 Republican nominee for Ag Commissioner. Phillips is a retired high school vocational agriculture teacher. He also worked in agricultural lending with the Production Credit Association and Trustmark Bank. The deadline for statewide candidates to file is March 1st. No Democrat has declared his or her candidacy so far.
A species of giant grass developed at Mississippi State University garnered some nationwide attention recently at a field day in Georgia. Freedom giant miscanthus is seen as a major new player in the biomass market. Biomass can be either burned directly or used to make cellulosic ethanol. Reprieve Renewables has purchased a license from MSU to produce and sell Freedom giant miscanthus. It recently held a field day to interest others in growing or using the grass. Farm Week's Amy Taylor reports from Soperton, Georgia.
It may look like 12 feet of dead grass, but this variety of giant miscanthus called Freedom is said to be a powerhouse for biomass. Those who have been waiting to learn more about this crop got to ask questions and visit the fields during the Freedom Giant Miscanthus Field Day held at Reprieve Renewables. The Freedom cultivar was developed by Mississippi State and licensed to the South Georgia firm. Demonstrations showed how the grass is planted, grown, cut, and baled. Chief Operations Officer Philip Jennings discusses how growers can purchase and grow the miscanthus.
We would sell rhizomes to individual farmers or landowners, and they would take those rhizomes and grow them to produce their crop. The same as we would sell seed or corn to a producer to grow corn or cotton. We sell them rhizomes and they grow their biomass crop. We have a number of farmers who are already growing it in our area, and we intend to keep getting it out to additional farmers to grow. It's going to be used for gasoline, it'll be used for diesel fuel, pyrolysis oils, a number 4 diesels. It will be used for pellets to go to Europe. It will also be used as fillers in plastics and other things. In order to be burned for fuel, the grass is compacted and formed into bricks.
Dr. Brian Baldwin, alternative crops professor at Mississippi State University, explains why it will be important to develop other giant miscanthus varieties besides Freedom.
When one plant gets it, all the other plants will get it too. And so I'm working with Maria Tomaso-Peterson in biochemistry, plant pathology, and entomology to screen new varieties of giant miscanthus that we're developing for their resistance or susceptibility to new diseases.
MSU researchers and specialists say biomass from the crop has been converted to engine fuel. About 200 visitors from all over the country attended the Freedom Giant Miscanthus Field Day. From Soperton, Georgia, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
Don't think you can grow fresh vegetables just because it's cold outside? Well, in this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman will show us some tips on growing cool season vegetables and suggest some varieties to try.
Just because it's winter doesn't mean you can't enjoy fresh vegetables. Today I'm at Dita McCarthy's visiting her winter vegetable garden. Cool season crops are the stars of the winter garden. Grown in raised beds, the vegetables benefit from the improved drainage. Collards are a winter staple. And have you ever seen Brussels sprouts growing on the stem before harvest? Bright Lights Swiss chard is colorful with white, yellow, orange, and red stems. Red and orange beets provide colorful roots and edible foliage. Mixed red and green leaf lettuce provide for many colorful salads. This kohlrabi looks like an alien spaceship that has landed in the garden. Dita uses multiple plantings to have a constant harvest. Carrots are ready in this bed, while these carrots will be ready later in the season. Some of Dita's veggies are started in small pots, but many are direct seeded and will germinate in temperatures in the upper 30s, like these Savoy cabbage seedlings. Dita's daughter Cedar made the signs to label the planting beds and lend a rustic touch to the garden. When cold temperatures threaten, quick hoops are made using half-inch PVC pipe stuck into the ground and covered using Agribond fabric. This creates a greenhouse-like structure providing protection. With a little effort in planning, Dita and her family will be enjoying fresh vegetables on a cold winter's night. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says to try something new in your garden this winter and you will be rewarded with good tasting fresh produce. That Swiss chard looked great. I'd like to try it.
Sounds like a winner.
In our feature segment today, wood pellets. Mississippi is home to 2 pellet making plants. Expansion in the wood pellet industry is resulting in more jobs for Mississippians. Time now for the markets with Leighton, and Leighton cotton futures continue to roll on higher.
They do, artists, continuing higher. DTN reports cotton is even maintaining these prices as we produce our show Thursday morning. Also ahead this week, a tighter corn supply is expected by analysts. Mississippi catfish sales were up in 2010, and the January 1 cattle inventory report is a record of sorts. Bloomberg reports cotton is having its best start to a new year since at least 1960. A much-watched index passed the $2 a pound mark for the first time this week, as futures also set a record high again. The Cotlook A index, which has been compiled by the information service Cotlook since 1966, from cotton market quotations, crossed 200 cents a pound for the first time. The International Cotton Advisory Committee attributes the rally in cotton that continues to limited supply, robust demand, and a depreciation of the U.S. dollar. Turning to grains and oilseeds now, it was the wheat complex, not corn or soybeans, that was sharply higher as of the Wednesday close of the markets. Although enthusiasm in corn was somewhat muted at midweek, analysts seem to think a real demand will be developing for old crop corn. Tom Fitzenmeyer of Summit Commodities is one of the analysts with that opinion.
I think you need to clean up old crop sales or get yourself up to that 80%. Again, I don't see nothing wrong with holding a few into the summer, because if we tighten this thing up like I think we could, you're going to see the bases continue to tighten, and there's going to be a real demand for old crop corn through the summer. So holding some into the summer, I have no problem with. As far as new crop sales go, certainly if you get new crop December corn up in that $6 range, I think you'd have to start making a few sales. Like I told some clients this week, you'd feel really disgusted with yourself if this was the top and it fell apart here and you passed up selling some $6 coins. So I think you just have to do it.
Agriculture runs on diesel to a large extent, and the cost of that fuel continues to edge higher. Diesel prices have gained 27 cents in just the past 9 weeks, according to the Energy Information Association. The national average price for diesel now is $3.43 per gallon. And we have an economic-related trivia quiz for you to start the month of February. How much of our state's workforce is employed in occupations related to ag, forestry, or natural resources? 17%, 25%, 30%, or 42%? That answer will be coming up shortly.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar in the second half of the markets. Leighton Span reports catfish sales are up while the nation's cattle inventory is at its lowest point in 53 years. And the feature segment today, wood pellets. This form of energy is not well known in our area, but 2 of the nation's 80 manufacturing plants are located here. Wood pellets are used widely in Europe for industrial power.
Prepared? Absolutely. It's so tempting to skip the conditioning when what I really want is the adrenaline rush. But without stretching, you can sure get hurt. Training builds stamina and gives you the endurance to bounce back from the twists and strains along the way. So yes, I prepared for my marriage. Until death do us part. Prepare for your marriage.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. Looking into February here, the Northeast Mississippi Fruit and Vegetable Growers Conference will be Friday, February 11th at the Lee County Agri Center in Verona. Registration is $10 and that includes lunch. Soil fertility, organics, and high tunnels are just a few of the subjects on the agenda. Contact Scott Cagle at the Chickasaw County Extension Service office to register or be part of the trade show. MSU is also will be the site of the annual Mississippi Crop College. That's set for February 15th through the 17th on the Mississippi State University campus in Starkville. It's a great continuing education resource as well. We will have a link on the Farm Week calendar to help you register. The North Mississippi Research and Extension Center Producer Advisory Council meeting is Thursday, February 17th. Gets underway at 8:30 a.m. also at the Lee County Agri Center at Verona. It's an opportunity for growers to influence the center's activities. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this Farm Week snapshot.
Last year was a good one in terms of sales of Mississippi catfish. In a February 1st report, the Ag Statistics Service says that fish farmers in the Magnolia State had sales of $218 million during 2010. Now that is an increase of 11% from the year before. The average price received by farmers for food-size fish was 77 cents per pound. New government numbers that are out indicate that the January 1 U.S. cattle inventory is the lowest in 53 years. Extension economist John Michael Riley stopped by Thursday morning to discuss the beef sector of the markets. John Michael, let's start with a snapshot, if you will, of this cattle inventory report.
Right, about what we expected, shrinking of the cow herd. Actually, the smallest cow herd since 1958, going back that far. All cattle and calves were down 1.5%, which is right in line with what the pre-report expected. The biggest thing that we saw here is in terms of down the road, you know, thinking about long-term picture, beef heifers kept back for replacement were down just over 5%. The expectation there was about 2%, so a larger reduction in the heifer retention. We saw that throughout the year with heifers placed on feed. Those numbers were up, and so, you know, I think from a long-term standpoint, this doesn't look like a trend that's going to change anytime soon.
All right, what about calves? I don't know if you've mentioned calves yet.
No, calves were actually on par with last year, right at 100% in terms of year-over-year change. Down in the state of Mississippi, down about 5% the calf crop was. So I think, you know, especially in the southeast, a reduction across most states in the southeast in overall number of cows and total calf crop.
All right, let's talk about what these inventory numbers may have to do with prices as we continue on this into the spring.
Well, it's an indicator of further shrinking of supply, which is positive for prices. But as we've seen just over the past couple of days, you know, a lot of our industry hinges on demand. There's still uncertainty in terms of unemployment and consumer spending, consumer sentiment. So that's pushed prices a little lower the past couple of days. I think that's going to continue to be the struggle between with prices. Is, you know, we do have a shrinking herd. We do have less supply out there, but how much demand is going to be there? Is the recovery that we're continuing to kind of see, is it going to filter down into more consumers out there buying beef?
Mm-hmm. And the winter tide, we're of course in winter, but the type of weather that we're having in Mississippi and the southeast this year in particular, is that likely to have any impact on the beef sector? Well,
I think it's going to put a constraint on our producers, but who are already low in hay supplies. If you look at the bigger impact nationally, you know, a lot of movement in terms of trade at the Fed cattle supply is at a standstill right now. So yeah, it's going to have issues.
And let's take a look at the answer to the trivia quiz now to close out the market segment on Farm Week. The first choice is the correct one this week. 17% of the state's workforce is employed in occupations related to ag, forestry, or natural resources. In this week's feature story, a relatively new forest product as far as Mississippi is concerned, wood pellets. 2 of the 80 mills in the United States are located in the Magnolia State. Pellets are already commonly used as a fuel in other areas of the country and world. They have become the greener alternative as far as producing heat and power. Mississippi State University has assisted this industry with its research on the ash content of the various types of wood that can be used to make pellets. Stay tuned at the end of our feature for some important updates. The first maker of wood pellets in Mississippi was CKS Energy in Amory, now known as Enviva Pellets Amory. Enviva makes its pellets from wood shavings and sawdust augmented by wood chips. The customer base for the Northeast Mississippi-made pellets includes utility companies in Europe as well as in the upper Midwest of the United States. The pellets from Amory are used as fuel for plants that produce electricity. The second manufacturer of pellets in the state went into operation in 2009. Piney Woods Pellets is located in Wiggins in South Mississippi.
And they're doing something a little different. They're producing both some pellets for energy, but they're also producing pellets for animal bedding and other uses. So they're using a different feedstock than the one in Amory, and really capturing a market.
We buy or purchase our raw material in chip form. Probably 60–70% of the chips we're currently getting are actually chipped in the woods. And so the log has to be harvested, has to be moved to a chipper unit where it's frailed or ring debarked. From that point it goes through the chipper. Chips are loaded on a truck, they're delivered to our site. We offload them here with either a truck tipper or live bottom trailers. And from that point we take the Mississippi chip and put it into our system and begin the process.
The pellet manufacturing process in Wiggins, Mississippi is computer controlled in a state-of-the-art facility that attracts visitors from around the nation and the world. The plant, as originally constructed, includes 3 pellet mills and was consuming about 360 tons of wood chips per day at the time of our visit. That's between 15 and 20 truckloads of chips per day, or 120,000 tons of wood chips in a year. The first step in making wood pellets is to uniformly dry the raw material or chips to a low moisture content. Low moisture content is one reason wood pellets burn so well. From the dryer, the material is fed into a hammer mill that makes the wood particles a consistent size. The next stop is the actual pellet mill. The particles are placed under high pressure and heated to a temperature of 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The process causes the lignin, the natural glue in wood that holds it together, to briefly liquefy. The material is forced through a series of dies or shaping devices to form the wood pellets.
We get about 52,000 pounds of pressure per square inch inside the pellet mill, where the meal is forced through 1/4-inch holes in a die. Then we extrude that like spaghetti out the back side, where knives cut it to length, and it drops into the hot pellet conveying system, takes it up to the ambient air cooler that you have on video, where it's held for a specific amount of time, and that's controlled by electronic. Then the cool product goes into one of two storage bins, depending on whether we're making a fuel pellet that's 100% southern pine or a fuel pellet that is 75% southern pine and 25% hardwood.
The last step in the process is packaging. The pellets come back into the building from the outside silos and are packaged in 40-pound bags and placed on pallets. Each pallet contains 50 bags or 1 ton of wood pellets. The pallets can be covered with an opaque hood that allows the pellets to be safely stored outside. Piney Woods made pellets are burned for heat. The primary market for the Wiggins, Mississippi pellets are home and business owners in the United States who have pellet stoves or heaters such as this. This unit is located in the lobby of the plant building.
The one we currently have in the office is capable of heating 3,500 square foot residents. We burn our stove every morning here, as you know, the weather dictates. We burn less than a bag every 2 days. Retail price on that bag is around $4.50 to $5 a bag. It can save the homeowner a considerable amount of money by converting from propane, for example, over to wood pellets. There's no smoke. You need to clean the appliance about once a week. You'll get about a double handful of ash out of it, wipe your glass off, turn your thermostat back up, and you're good to go for another week. Our company philosophy is that we sell all of our product domestically. Our goal is to reduce our dependency upon foreign oil. Each bag, 40-pound bag, on average contains 320,000 BTUs of energy. Each ton, which is 40-pound bags, 1,600,000 BTUs of energy, which equates to 2.5 barrels of foreign oil. So for every ton of pellets consumed in this country, regardless of the manufacturer, we save 2.5 barrels of foreign oil.
Rising prices for fossil fuels such as fuel oil and natural gas are leading to increased interest in wood pellet heating. Concern over global climate change is also stimulating interest in wood pellets and other carbon-neutral energy sources. Piney Woods pellets are sold all over the country, according to plant manager Terry Dunlap.
We ship to some distribution centers for some of these big box stores, and then they ship them all over the country. You will find in some of the major big box stores around the country Piney Woods pellets with tomorrow's energy fuel pellets. Like for instance in the Northwest and the Western states, the consumers there really like a pine pellet, a softwood pellet. And the consumers on the East Coast and in the Northeast and the Midwest prefer a blended pellet or a hardwood pellet, so therefore the two different types of fuels.
It's going to be a growing industry here in the state simply because of the growth we have and the material that we have within the state. As a benefit, the state has fewer people, so we have more trees.
It's 100% natural. The lignin God placed inside that wood fiber is what binds it all together. And when you can convert that and use good manufacturing practices to do so and keep our Mississippi loggers in the woods, doing what Mississippians know how to do best and taking what they do and converting it to a product that can help reduce our dependency on foreign oil is very self-gratifying to me. I know what this product can do for the home consumer.
The Piney Woods plant was originally built to produce over 100,000 tons of pellets each year and employ 25 to 27 people. It is owned by Picayune native Osmond Crosby and his wife Debbie. From Wiggins, Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting. If you're interested in watching this story again, you can see it at our website, farmweek.msucares.com. We'll have contact information on both pellet mills. Now, a lot has changed since we first aired this story last August. Piney Wood Pellets of Wiggins was purchased in October by Enviva LP. Now it's known as Enviva Pellets Wiggins. Enviva plans to triple that Wiggins plant's capacity to 150,000 tons a year. That will create 22 new jobs at the plant, and another 30 jobs are estimated to be created in the logging and forestry supply chain. So both Mississippi pellet mills are owned now by this Richmond, Virginia-based firm. The company plans to double capacity at the Amory plant. Enviva's website says by the end of 2012, it will have the capacity to produce more than 1.3 million tons of wood pellets a year, and it will need that capacity since it has signed a contract that happened in August to fuel a West European electric utility with 1.2 million tons of wood pellets a year.
Leighton, all it shows is we live in a global market.
We do.
Pellets moving from here to Europe. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we'll review the year in agriculture for 2010.
It was a welcome year of recovery for Mississippi growers. Plans were also announced to build several major biofuel plants in the state.
In Southern Gardening, we'll have a preview of the Gulf Coast Garden and Patio Show in Biloxi. It takes place at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum the weekend of February 25th through the 27th. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.